Hello, hello, everyone. Just another manic Monday. It's my fun day. Oh, I hope everybody's having a good night. I saw Noni left a message in here earlier. Unless she's in here now, she could be. Good to see her. She said otherwise she'll be on the replay crew. Awesome. Um, so yes, just another manic Monday. Um, we There's been a couple of things going on today, right? We had the school shooting. Hello, K9. Good to see you too. Um, so yeah, we had the school shooting this morning in Madison, Wisconsin. That's about, I think, like 3 hours away from where I live. So sad. It was at a Christian school. Hello, Ginger Girl. Good to see you. Um, Every time I hear of a school shooting, guys, I get very emotional. It bothers me so much that those children are subjected to that fear. You know, it's awful. Um, I hate it. And some things are coming out, but before I give another update, I want to make sure, because, when something first comes out, there's a lot of garbage. You know, I want to hear about the person responsible from law enforcement, um, because I did go on the X account for this person allegedly, and it's not good at all. So I want to wait to see what law enforcement has to say. Um, but, it's always and already, from what I'm seeing, it's a mental health problem. And that that just seems to be the way it is with everyone, right? Hello, Terry. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. Um, and yeah, it's just always some kind of a mental health problem, and I hate that. I just hate that. So we'll wait for more stuff to come out before I do another update on that one. As it was, I kind of waited around for the second press conference on that one because I didn't, when the first one comes out, they don't have all the information right away. And hello, Brenda Joe. I hope you're feeling okay. Brenda Joe had to go to the awful dentist. I hate dentists. How about you guys? I hate them. Ugh, yuck. Um, so yeah, she's home recovering. I didn't really expect you to be on. Um, so I did have, um, I was just going to say, I did have an update. I was going to share with you guys. All right. It's from At Night. It's another one of his poems. And remember that it's impossible for us to figure out these poems, right? Um, they're not meant for us, though, guys. So remember that. I stand tall in the neighborhood, a facade of perfection, an all American family, or so is the deception. We gather in black to mourn and to grieve, but our secrets are dark, our hearts do not believe. Our courthouse once strong now lies in decay, a broken home where justice once would stay. We're far from the picture of the life we portray, culpable and hidden in plain sight we sway. Who are we behind the masks we wear each day? Isn't that good, guys? I love it. I love his poems. I could just go on forever. uh, gotcha. So you're not feeling any better? What does moat mean? Darn, spell check. Oh, no more teeth. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to tell anybody, but yeah. So she had the rest of her teeth taken out so she can get bottom plates. But yes, I hate the dentist. I hate that drilling sound. Ooh, I've got a couple of teeth that are broken off, and I just have been waiting to go. I don't want to go. Awful. Don't want to do it. Um, there was something else. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not sure if everybody's going to get it though, but I'll show it. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see that all right? All right. That better? It says, welcome to Tennessee Longwood Gardens. Does anybody get it? Well, if you don't live in Tennessee, you might not get that. And then the other picture is this one. You can see it's been edited. Okay. It's not, those aren't, I have to be careful what I say. So, but I could tell you this, I'm not stuck. Remember I told you when I sent Nick my opinion, I told him I was stuck. Well, I'm not stuck on this tip that he put out here today. Oh, and it was an AI photo that was made. How many of you, I'll say this, did any of you follow um, the story on Danilo Cavalcante? It got you, Ginger. I, I was amazed that I figured it out right away. But did anybody follow Danilo Cavalcante? Anybody on here? No. Okay. So then you wouldn't know. Oh. Okay. Well, Danilo Cavalcante was a escaped prisoner. He escaped out of a Pennsylvania prison. Okay. And the way that he escaped was weird. Um, let's see. I'm going to pull up a picture because it is really interesting how he escaped. Try to find an image really quickly. Maybe I can find the video real quick. That might be even more. Okay. Okay, so I will share my screen. The guy in the white shirt is Danilo Cavalcante, okay? And you see it? Okay. So this is him right here. Watch what he does. He's in a prison yard, okay? He's in a prison rec yard.
New video showing the moment convicted murderer Danilo Cavalcante escaped a Pennsylvania prison last week. The 5-foot, 120-pound inmate extended his arms and legs against a narrow section of the exercise yard before crab walking up the wall to the roof and dropping down on the other side. Cavalcante then pushed through multiple layers of razor wire to escape the Chester County Prison.
While we believe the security measures we had in place were sufficient, they've proven otherwise.
So he crab walked, guys. Wasn't that interesting? Okay, so then they had this long manhunt. I'm telling you. And I want to show you. I never thought I'd be talking about this case, but okay. I'm going to show you where he liked to hide. All right, I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Okay, so he liked to hide in Longwood Gardens. He would go to different spots in Longwood Gardens in Pennsylvania. Okay. So Longwood Gardens is not in Wisconsin, by the way, guys. Okay, or Tennessee. It's not in Tennessee. So just a very beautiful place that you can go and, pay and tour around, and it looks really beautiful as far as I can tell. I mean, it's gorgeous. It has fountains and all kinds of stuff, right? This is the main fountain area. So here's another one. I mean, so it's just a beautiful place, but look at how many places you can hide, right? Except that they did have cameras, so they caught him a few times on camera. But he was really, really good at hiding. Okay, so now I'm going to share it again. This picture make a little more sense to you? There is no Longwood Gardens in Tennessee. Okay, so young person and older. Yeah, so there we have it. That's what that meant. Okay. Oh, goodness. Hi, Nanette. It's good to have you here. That was right before you got into true crime, so you watched it? Yeah. I saw a cartoon of Donna Adelson doing that when she got arrested. It is beautiful, isn't it, Ginger? I'd like to. Let's go. Let's go. um, but so, he shared that today. And yeah, the Fab Four, absolutely. The Fab Four with Sebastian, right? And he didn't use actual pictures of the people. He just, you know, the core four, I think, right? So yes, that's about all from the Nick and Dog front. Dog hasn't put out anything. That was from at night, and Nick had the picture. Nick was just sharing it. Someone else actually did it. Okay, so Nick was just sharing it. Yeah, it didn't take me long to catch. I was shocked. Usually it takes me longer than that to figure it out, but I got it right pretty quickly. I won't say right away, but pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. But yes, that and the nice little poem he wrote. I was watching another creator earlier, and it seems very, very certain that justice is coming soon, that there'll be an arrest soon. And I hope so. I mean, I really hope so. I hope something comes of this. I'm still praying and believing that Sebastian is going to be home by Christmas, guys. Um, I want him home for Christmas with his dad. I hope that they can have a quiet, um, you know, warm and loving Christmas together with, grandma and grandpa, whatever relatives on that side of the family. I'm really hoping that that'll happen. Um, you do realize that when Sebastian's found, I mean, media are going to be swarming, right? But, at that point, guys, we have no rights. Sebastian, especially being autistic, and after whatever he has gone through these past almost 10 months, needs to be left alone with his dad, right? Yeah, we are still praying for his safe return. We're believing that. We're not, on my channel, I'm not entertaining any other avenues. Yeah, Seth does deserve justice, no doubt about it. As I was saying, we're not entertaining any other avenues because I refuse to believe. I want to believe, along with Seth, that he's alive. And until or unless we have to face anything different, at that time we will face it. Now, if something smacks us in the face with actual proof that he's not alive, of course we'll address that at that time. But until then, we're just going to go ahead and, have faith and believe with Seth that his son is alive and he's going to be home. It would be the best Christmas, wouldn't it, K9? It would be. So, asking everybody to join me in prayer. Good. I'm glad, Nanette. Just asking everybody to join me in prayer that will happen by Christmas. I'm really, really praying for that. And if you believe the Bible at all, it says where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, it shall be done, right? So here we go, right? So I was looking at the interviews that are next. There is one in between this one and the one that I'm doing, but I'm not going to play it, guys. I'm really not going to go into the reason why. Let's just say that I don't want to be involved in any issues. Okay. I want to get along with everybody. I don't want to bring attention to myself or my channel or any of you in a bad way. And playing that video probably would do that. So I'm not going to. Instead, the next one on the list, and I am going by a list, guys. I don't even know who made this list, honestly, and it's on Google Documents. It's well, it's got a lot of stuff here. I'm not quite sure who made it. But the next one on the list is with Justin on TikTok, and it's actually Tony. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with that one. And for those of you who don't know Tony, He is a spokesman. I think everybody knows him, but he's a spokesman for Seth and Caleb Harris, I guess, at one point. So here we go.
And have a discussion. Hey, Tony, how are you doing tonight?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. You have been a busy man today.
I've been busy. What'd you call me earlier? Can we say
I'm not going to say what I called you. We're not going to say that on YouTube, but you know what I called you earlier. Anyway, so we talked before you came on here, and I appreciate you coming on again to kind of answer some of these questions. You set the internet ablaze a few days ago when you announced that you were going to be working with Seth Rogers and Sebastian Rogers, this case, in addition to Caleb Harris, who you've already been working on.
Yep.
And so that's raised a lot of questions from people, and I figured we could just take an opportunity to give some updates on both of those cases and go through some of these questions or comments that they have.
I'm now the most hated man in America somehow.
Yeah, I know. I know. But here you are. I have you, so it's okay. It's okay. You can be safe, sort of safe space. Just don't look at the comments. I don't know. Actually, the comments could be nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with that being said, before we get into the questions, I haven't done a Caleb update in a while. Is there anything new to report with that?
No, not really. I mean, there's a we have a lot of faith in law enforcement in that case, and we do believe that law enforcement has got a lot of data they're sifting through, and I think the family is very positive right now that some of that evidence is going to lead to something good. So, you know, it's been a digital investigation for quite some time now, and I think that, you know, it takes a while to get that information back, and you know, we're going to be patient, allow them to do that.
And I think it's a good time to remind people that with these cases, with law enforcement, they don't release everything. They just can't.
Right.
And I think that's probably a lot of what's going on. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And they've been pretty tight-lipped about it, right? So,
right.
You know, hopefully we'll have some updates or some information we can work with soon. But, you know, Caleb has not been found, just to let y'all know. You can follow Tony, by the way. It's fine. Caleb Harris is his handle on TikTok. But he's not been found. He still needs eyes. He still needs awareness. So if you can remember to do so, go grab off of the Find Caleb Harris Facebook page or Caleb Harris Missing pages. Grab, you know, a copy of his flyer, share it to social media, and all of that stuff. Now, let's talk about Sebastian, because there are some updates there that we can talk about over the last couple of days. What do you want to say about that one, update wise?
So are we wanting to talk about the North Carolina situation? Is that what you're alluding to?
Well, I wasn't alluding to anything. We can talk about whatever you wanted, because I don't know what you know that you can say. But yeah, we can talk about the North Carolina thing. I made a video earlier about it, and for people who don't know what he's talking about, you probably do, but just in case, there is a photo that's been floating around for about a week now, right? And it first came out that, you know, hey, this looks like Sebastian Rogers. And then it was like, is it AI? Is it Sebastian Rogers? Well, apparently where law enforcement stands is they do not believe that it's AI. They don't necessarily believe it's Sebastian Rogers, but they believe that it is a real photo. It is something that they are investigating. They've talked to the woman that took the picture, correct? If I understand.
Correct. One of the two guys has talked to her.
Okay, so they've talked to them, but they're still investigating it. Nothing's been confirmed or denied yet. So right now it's a viable lead.
Correct. It's part of the investigation for sure.
Is there anything else about North Carolina that you can speak to?
I mean, just you know, everybody knows Seth went out there and they wouldn't let him see the footage. Law enforcement had told them not to let anybody see the footage. So, you know, in the world that we live in, that's all great stuff, because if there's nothing to see here, then why are you protecting the footage? So, you know, everything like that leads them to believe that they've got some real footage, proof of life, so to speak. I mean, that's fantastic.
Well, Tony brings up a good point, but also they're protecting the footage because it is a minor. You know, he's kind of forgetting that point. It's a minor. So despite the fact that they are looking into this, right? Um, that's video footage of a minor, and yeah, they're not just going to show that to just anybody, right? Even potentially a father, because they don't know that it's his child. So, yeah, they, I can't imagine how Seth felt. You know, he drives all the way up there. They're not going to let him see, right? And now he's waiting. You heard them. They said it was about a week or whatever so far. They still didn't know anything yet. Guys, can you imagine what that felt like as a father? I I can't even imagine what he's gone through these last 10 months. You know, you get your hopes up only to be shot down over and over again.
And that footage came from the visitor center, I'm assuming, surveillance from there.
Correct. Yeah.
There's a lot of rumors regarding that photo that the woman in there is somehow related to Sebastian or related to Chris or Katie or Seth. I mean, I've heard all different
There was
versions of
rumors
it.
about that.
Is there any truth to that rumor that you were able to speak to?
Not to my knowledge. That person in there is a lady with a blonde hair and a bun, and I think they're people that speculating there might be some similarities, but I don't think there's really anything to that. I think it's just that she may not even be related to the kid in the picture. It could just be an angle, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just wanted to make sure we address that coming from your mouth,
Sure.
to kind of stop that on the internet.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's new regarding Sebastian's case that people should be aware of?
Wow.
Not at this time.
All right. Well, let's get into you then. So wonderful. I know you're very excited. I have a list of questions because I asked my followers, hey, what do you want to know? And then I asked some of my own too. I guess let's start with Caleb, because that's what kind of brought you into this world. Well, actually, let's actually go back before that. Tell us, whatever to the degree that you're comfortable sharing, what's your background as far as like what you do, what you want people to know about you.
So let's just have a conversation, right?
Yeah, let's have a conversation.
So I have no spokesperson background. I did not wake up 2 months ago and decide that I wanted to be somebody's spokesperson. I'm not one of these people that wants to put myself in somebody's bad situation. I'm a normal guy. I've got a normal family. I've got a great family. I've been blessed in life. And I happen to be really good friends with Randy Harris. I work with him. He likes me. He trusts me, and the feeling's mutual. And when I started out with Caleb's case, it was kind of like this deal with Seth. I mean, I just started out giving him advice from the background. I helped him kind of gain control of a Facebook page to where we could kind of control the message and use it to, create some volunteers and whatnot. And, he got about a week and a half to 2 weeks into that. And it became, when we would talk, it was more, man, I could really use you here. I could really use somebody handling these interviews and whatnot. And I just told him, I said, brother, all you got to do is tell me what your needs are. And, I'm there for you. So if you need me to help you with interviews, if you need me to set up interviews, if you need me to do interviews, if you need me to be on interviews with you, I'll do anything you need me to help you do. And that's kind of how it all got started.
So basically and you worked with Randy, correct?
Yeah, we worked together for coming up on 3 years.
So Randy Harris, and then work together, and you sell cranes for a living, correct? That's
correct.
Your day
Yeah,
job.
I cover. I live in Oklahoma, but I cover like the northern part of the country, North and South Dakota. I'm in a hotel room in North Dakota right now.
So the next thing I'm going to say, and I already know the answer to this question, and I'm going to ask it anyways, even though it seems like a dumb question, but I know how the internet works. Do what?
Probably is.
Yeah. Chris Proudfoot works with cranes as an operator, and you sell them. Is there any connection there?
No, sir. I didn't know. The first conversation I had with Chris and Katie when I was talking to them.
That's interesting because I never knew Tony sold cranes. Did you guys? I find that very interesting. Huh. I didn't think there was any connection between the two, even so. But yeah, I didn't know that Tony sold cranes. If I'm not mistaken, Tony was let go by the Harris family, right? Anybody know? And I think it was due to a video. You knew that. Okay.
About being a spokesperson for all three members of the family. That's when I found out that he operated a crane. So the crane world is big but small. So we know some of the same companies that we've worked together with, but he operates a crane in the southeast part of the country, and I sell cranes up in the northern part of the country. So not only would I not know him, but we wouldn't even cross paths like ever. So it's just a coincidence. That's all.
So as far as Randy's case goes, Caleb's case goes, let's go into that one first, because you know that when we get into the Sebastian Rogers case is very, very convoluted with a lot of layers. Caleb's right now is still fairly straightforward. I mean, there are layers to it, but it's easier. Is there anything like, how do I want to ask this? Well, I'll just ask it this way. Is there any financial gain for you for working?
So there is not only zero financial gain. I've not taken $1 from Randy. Randy can verify that. People can reach out to Randy to verify that. My wife and I have spent money out of our pockets for me to be able to be with him in Corpus Christi. I am not, I'll let you ask the next question, but I'll just answer it for you. I'm not taking any money from Seth. Seth has nobody on his team right now that's getting paid anything. I'm strictly a volunteer. I've been blessed in life. I'm in a good situation financially. And even if they offered me money, which I don't have the skill set to back that up, I wouldn't take any money from one of these families going through this. And if I couldn't spend my own dime to help and to be there for them, then I wouldn't do it.
I think that's incredible, guys. Right? He has the money to go and help, and he's doing it free of charge for these guys. It's amazing, and he's had a lot come at him because of it. A lot.
And that's the same with, I'm guessing the same with Caleb's case as well. Because there's rumors out there, and again, I've spoken to you a lot, so I feel that I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask you anyways. There's rumors that people are floating out there that you were being compensated out of the GoFundMe that they were putting together for Caleb, and I'll just let you address that. I believe I know the answer. In fact, I do know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer it.
So I started the GoFundMe account with some other coworkers, and I put the first $500 into that account for the family. I never actually had access to the account because it was the first GoFundMe account I'd ever created. But when you create a GoFundMe account, the money is basically in a cloud until you direct the account or the platform to dump into somebody's bank account. So all the way until a month or so ago, that money was in a cloud. I had no access to it. And at the point in time that Randy was ready to have that dumped into his account, he gave me that information. We had to go back and forth through some verification, emails, and then the money went in.
So I'm glad that you answered that. Thank you, because I know that's been something that's been floating out there, and wanted to make sure that people knew that you're doing this as a volunteer, because you are. your own time, your money, so here's what I can tell you about Tony, because obviously y'all know that we've spoken multiple times. You've seen me with him, here and on TikTok a few times. Tony also has a family, and I'm not gonna get into the details of his family, but he's working, he travels, he's taking time away from his hobbies, his family to do this. And I guess that leads me to the next question. Why? I know why you took Randy's, but why Seth? What has drawn you to this case?
Quite honestly, I didn't want to be involved in this case because it was so muddy. But we had some common acquaintances, Seth and I did. And without getting into a lot of that, some of the acquaintances had connected me with Seth and told me that he needed some guidance, some direction. Started about 3 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago, he was concerned about search and rescue. So I was trying to get him set up with some search and rescue people. And then as we got to talking each and every day, it became more obvious that he wanted somebody doing his interviews. He wanted somebody helping him with interviews. He wanted somebody handling all the media, and he just didn't want to do it. So what happened was I told him that if I was going to do it, I said, I need to talk to my wife. I need to talk to the Harris family. If I'm going to do it to help you, I'd really like to represent all three of you, because back then it was, Team Seth, Team Sebastian. I just didn't think it would be productive to represent, one side, so to speak. So, we spent the next couple of weeks, trying to get Chris and Katie on board. And, to this day, I don't know that won't ultimately happen. But, right now, Friday, I agreed, Seth finally just laid it out there and he said, look, are you going to do this for me or not? And I said, yeah, brother, I'll do it for you. But he, even now.
So this video happened on May 5th, guys. And he was still to that day hoping that Chris and Katie would come on board. Looking back now, we know that was never going to happen, right? Ginger says, I know little about GoFundMe. I know they take a percentage of the donations. Yeah, I don't know how much the percentage is. I have given to it. In fact, I have nothing to hide. I gave to Seth in the beginning. I've given as much as I could give. But yeah, it's very easy to donate to. You can use your name. You don't have to use your name. You can leave a message if you want, So it's. I think it's nice, but I think it can also be abused. I'm not saying it was abused in Seth's case or even in Caleb's case. Not at all. I don't believe that Seth abused that money at all. He was taking off work. He still had to pay his bills. He did end up paying, I think, Heather and Chloe something. From what I've heard, I don't know for sure, or other PIs or something. I think he said that. So, yeah, I don't believe his was misused at all. And you heard Tony say he's the one that helped start the GoFundMe for Caleb, so for Caleb's family. But yeah, it's kind of interesting if you think about the fact that Tony never took any money from Seth or Caleb's family. Hey, how many likes do we have, guys? Do we know yet? You look here. Do we have 11? Is that right, guys? I forgot to say that I would have our party at. This was set up by his sister and managed by her. Yeah. We have 13. Awesome. Well, we'll have our party now. The Chris cheerleading party, right? We can do that right now. And then let's see, when we get to 20 likes, we'll play it again. So here we go.
I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time. I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time. I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time. I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time.
Go, Seth, go.
I have been a supporter and a cheerleader.
All right. Let's continue on.
Now, I'm still doing what I can do to protect Chris and Katie. I'm still trying to keep people from bringing them up or saying anything malicious towards them. And of course, Seth, we did an interview the other night, and I felt like it was really clean. There was no drama, which, is there's a lot to be said for an interview in this case with no drama. The offer still stands with Chris and Katie, and quite frankly, if we could get this family all working together, not just superficially, but deeply, I could keep everybody from out in front of a camera, and we could go back to focusing on Sebastian. And, I don't really care. I don't really care what anybody thinks about me. I mean, I'm just a normal guy. I don't claim to be an expert in this. I didn't ask to do this. But I've got half the world out there throwing darts at me, and I'm a big boy with broad shoulders and thick skin. And if I've got people throwing arrows at me and literally creating YouTube, lives to talk about me when they've never met me, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Because if they're doing that to me, they're not doing it to the family. And let's face it, those types of people, they don't care anything about Sebastian. They're never going to care anything about Sebastian. They're never going to get on the ground and help. They're never going to put any positive vibes out there for the kid. So they're going to throw arrows at somebody. It just as well be me. And if they're throwing them at me, they're not throwing them at the family. And, Justin, you've dealt with enough spokespeople to know that, part of the job is taking arrows, and, it's just part of the deal. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I would suggest that, that if somebody want to know me and not what they've heard or what they've researched or whatever, I'm an open book. I talked to a lady today on Facebook that kind of sent me kind of an edgy message. And I just picked up the phone and called her on Facebook. We had a 30-minute conversation. Never met her before in my
life. I seem to remember Pascal taking the credit for that. I think it was said or something on Pascal, wasn't it? If I'm remembering correctly, that Pascal hooked Seth up, Tony and Seth up. And I don't blame Tony for saying that he didn't want to take this case because it was muddy. I don't blame him, but his heart went out because he felt bad for Seth, right? And, his goal, he had a good goal, guys. He was trying to get the three parents to work together. He didn't know anything about Chris and Katie, right? He didn't. He knows a lot more now, I bet.
My life, she was a great lady, and by the time we got off the phone, she said, "You're not what I thought you were." And I said, "Well, how would you know what I was if you never talked to me?" And she said, "Well, that's on me, but I greatly appreciate your time in the call, and boy, I had you wrong." Well, I'd just like a chance, but if you're not willing to give me a chance, then hey, keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
So going back to me a second ago, I know that you've been talking to Chris and Katie. Are they on board with you at this point, helping them as well? Or are you still working to get them to come around?
I'm still working to get them to come around.
Okay. So what,
in May.
with you coming in, so somebody said something in the comments, and so I'm going to work it into the question. A lot of people like Seth Rogers' authenticity is, I think, the word that they use, but you know how he is. He's off the cuff. He's just Seth Rogers. He is who he is. And a lot of people are drawn to that.
Exactly. He is who he is. He's been consistent from the beginning. All he wants is a son. He is, he makes no bones about who he is. He's comfortable in his skin. He just tells it like it is. He is who he is. And he shows his emotion. He shows his love for Sebastian. It's shown in his face and his tears. He is who he is. I'm going to stand here and say today, December 16th, 2024, no one's ever going to get me to believe that Seth doesn't love his son and that he is not involved. I will never believe that he's involved in anything to do with the disappearance of his son. He is 100% innocent in this.
Kind of, I don't call him a loose cannon because he's not, but he's been known to, say some things kind of that you didn't expect him to. With that being said, what do you say to people who are worried about taking away that authenticity, but then also going hand in hand with that? What do you do? What are you doing to help Seth and Sebastian in this case?
Excuse me, I got a cough. Seth does not enjoy being on camera, and that came out of his mouth, not mine. I'm not trying to keep the world from Seth, but the Seth that was getting emotional and saying things that he regretted later, admittingly, he was not helping his own cause. And so my goal is to mitigate some of that. If we think it's good for him to be on camera, he can be on camera. I'm not telling him what to say and what not to say. I did tell him to try to keep it clean. If he got frustrated, to be frustrated. If he broke down, it's okay. If you feel broken, then show him that you're broke down. I mean, it's okay. I just think Seth feels comfortable, a lot like Randy Harris does. He feels comfortable having somebody there that if a question's asked that he doesn't feel comfortable answering, instead of going ahead and answering that, he's got somebody there to say, you know what, we're not going to talk about that right now. And and I'm not a control guy at all, but I have no problem controlling a situation if I think it's going to help Seth and or Katie or Chris and or, more importantly, help find Sebastian. So I'm just kind of being a mediary, and I'm not trying to get in the limelight. I mean, I'm not trying to be a YouTube guy or a TikTok guy. I mean, I'm trying to help two dads that desperately want their kids back find their kids. And it's not anything other than that. I don't make money. I lose a lot of time with my family. There is nothing in it for me. I've never been attacked in my entire life like I have the past 48 hours. And I still don't know what your perception of somebody has to do with somebody that's willing to volunteer their time to help a family in need. I mean, I'm just lost. I don't get how people could be angry with that, but trust me, there's plenty of them.
No, you're not wrong there. I think.
Nope, he's not wrong there. And it is sad, right? I mean, the minute you choose to put yourself out there, you come under attack. I can honestly say that. I have not had it as bad as many other people on YouTube, but I've had some of it, and it's not easy to take, guys, especially if you kind of wear your heart on your sleeve and you take things personally. It's hard. It's really hard. But on the flip side of the coin, I mean, it's kind of like let's put it this way, actors and actresses, right? And they're putting themselves out there for everyone to see. And then their audience thinks that they have a right to them, right? That wherever they are, if they're in a restaurant or if they're walking down the street or what, the audience feels like they have that right. And see, that's something that it's funny that I've never been the type of person to do that when I've seen someone famous. I haven't seen too many people, but I'll remember one huge. I was in the Las Vegas airport, and my husband and I were sitting in the bar, and we were having a drink, and we looked up at the bar, and we saw Tiger Woods sitting there, and he was sitting alone. And we had actually seen him in line, the same line that we were in earlier. He was ahead of us with his wife, and he was like 2 people ahead of us. So, I mean, I didn't go up to him because my thinking always is, this is their personal time, right? This is their personal time. They don't need to be bombarded, you know? So in the meantime, we're sitting in this bar, and we both had looked over at him, and at that moment, I don't know if he could tell somebody was looking at him. He looked over at us, and we just kind of smiled and nodded our head, and he did the same, and we turned away. So he knew that we knew who he was. Wasn't long after that, guys, that he was bombarded at the bar. Everyone was around him. It started first with one guy who seemed to be kind of a loudmouth guy, right? And almost like he wanted it to be known that he was standing there talking to Tiger Woods, right? And then everybody was around him. And within 5 minutes, he had finished his drink and he left. And, I just strongly feel that that's their time. Was it kind of cool to see Tiger Woods? Yes, it was. It was awesome. But I'm not going to go disrupt their lives, their personal lives when they're out there, K9 says, I befriended an actress in Antigua when I lived there. Everywhere we went, people were always bugging her. Yeah. And, some would say, well, you put yourself out there, what do you expect, I guess, part of that's true, but I don't honestly believe that just because we like an actor, actress, that they owe us, or a golf pro, they should be able to be in public and have some downtime. I will tell you this. When we were in line in the Las Vegas airport, it's when Tiger was still married. She was reaming him out. Up one side, down the other. Okay? So, in my opinion, when he was sitting in that bar and she wasn't there with him in the bar, he needed that drink, the poor guy, and he needed to be left alone. I don't know. She was letting him have it. So, I don't know if he deserved it. I don't know. Judging by some of the things said later and found out later, maybe he deserved it, but that wasn't the time to do that. And I felt like, he's being yelled at in public, and now he's trying to have a drink in the bar and leave the poor guy alone. It was awful. All right, let's continue on.
I think that, there's been a lot of creators, a lot of people who have everybody basically connected with this case. And I'll just go ahead and say this. I've covered a lot of true crime, starting with Gabby Petito on social media, and I have never, ever seen anything like this case. The way that it's being, I mean, the case is weird. It's obviously bizarre. We know that there are things that just don't quite add up. But the way that people are really choosing teams and really going to bat and getting angry about it, where, as you know, even I had to kind of take a step back with this and say, hey, look, you can't be team Seth, you can't be team Chris and Katie. Why can't we just all come together?
That's
have the common
awesome.
goal of finding Sebastian? That is the only team that we should have here at this point. And so from that perspective, I made the decision to step back, not talk about Seth, not talk about Chris and Katie, and just really focus on Sebastian. But you're right, walking into this, especially now 2.5 months in is where we're at. It's brutal out there if you're a face associated with this particular case. And you're finding that
especially if you're facing.
Boy, is he ever right? It is brutal out there if your name is associated with this case. It's really hard to stay in the middle. It's hard to stay just on Sebastian's team. It really is. I love that, Ginger Girl. You twisted with Chubby Checker. Growing up and through my adult years, I loved to dance. I still love to dance. I'll sometimes be dancing around the kitchen a little bit when I'm cooking, and Lacey just looks at me like I'm weird. But dancing with Chubby Checker, that'd be awesome. That would be so cool. I love it.
Face is ugly like mine.
Well, fair enough. Then I don't think I'm going to touch that one. But
well, and the other thing too is one of your viewers just said it in the comments, and it didn't really hit me until I saw that. But there are people that make a lot more money if this family is going back and forth at each other, and they'll make money a day or two going in and criticizing me and criticizing everything about me, but eventually that money train will dry up. And if I'm the guy that stops the family, then I impact some people's income. And there could be some people that are irritated about that. But you know what? It's not about your income. You meaning a YouTuber. It's not about a TikToker's income. It's not about Justin. It's not about Pascal. It's not about any of the other people that I consider to be, friends of mine. It's about the kid. And it's not about anything but that. And I know it's not with you. And I know it's not with Pascal. And I know it's not with some of the other people that I trust, like Jennifer Coffindaffer. But there are some people that it's about the money. And I can tell you that the same people that are criticizing me for helping this family have made far more money over covering this family than I'll ever make, because it would only take them $1 to do that.
Yeah, it's one thing too when it comes to cases like this is, true crime obviously is a very big genre as far as content creation, as far as TVs, movies, things like that. It's a massive market, and what I frequently like to remind people pretty much through every case is that this, as entertaining as it might be to you or as invested as you get, remember that there are real family members associated with it. There's a real child with both of them, with both Caleb and with Sebastian. You have two children. I mean, and obviously I know Caleb's an adult, but he's still a child to his parents. But there are two kids that are missing. He's a kid to me too, because he's like 21, 22, but they're kids and they're still missing. They still need to be found. And whatever outcome or fate that they have, whether they're found alive or not, then at that point, they all deserve justice and the family deserves to have answers. So just reminding people that, hey, this isn't about entertainment. It's spreading awareness, trying to make sure that these names, these faces get out there and get found. And
he said that so well. No twisting for you now. It sucks to get old. There's been one person right from the beginning that has been focused on the money. Yes. Yep. I mean, yeah, he's even brought it up, you know. If I go on your show, you better give any money made to Sebastian. Well, where would that go? To you, Chris? Nah. Nah. Not happening. Not happening. And but that is the thing, right? That is the thing, guys. It is about Sebastian. It was about Caleb. You know, that's the point there. You know, whether we do this as a side job or not, if, and I invite you guys, if I ever lose track of the fact that it is about, the victim, please feel free to tell me, because it has to be. That's why I'm here, honestly. I have a heart for these. I started with the Gabby Petito case. That's how I got hooked on true crime. You want to talk about being emotional? Oh my goodness. That case was really difficult. Remember when CP said if he has lots of money, this case would have already been solved? If he has lots of money, this case would have already been solved. Yeah, that is weird. I'm just trying to figure out what he meant by it. I'm sitting. When did he say that? I don't remember that. I don't doubt that he said it, K9. I just don't remember that part. I remember a few others of his, but I don't remember that one. But yeah, and I think that his whole life centers around money. Look at the house they live in, guys. Look at the RV he had. Not, how many, fifth wheeler. Isn't that what he likes to call it? Yeah, I think it's a fifth wheeler. How much do you think that cost? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That was a huge fifth wheeler. The house. What was that as? Like $650,000 when it was sold to them? Ginger says, yes, K9. I thought that was a weird statement as well. Then I heard about the cost of those homes they wanted to send Sebastian to. Yes. Like $10,000 a month. Wasn't that one? They were defending the fact people were saying they owned a plane and mortuary and 60 properties. Yeah. But he said that they don't own the funeral home. Or I don't know. Or his cousin owns it or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy. They've got money. No doubt about it. I mean, I don't know where they get it all from, but they definitely have money. I don't know if it's, I guess that's a thing. Do we know anything about his parents? Because that's his stepfather, right? And earlier, someone and I were talking about Katie. We don't know a whole lot about her either, So it'd be kind of interesting, but I don't know how far a person wants to go into that, because I suppose honestly, to be fair, we don't go into Seth's home life, so I won't go into that one either. But Lord Lodge said he doesn't know how CP is living the lifestyle he is living. He was curious where his money was coming from. I know, I wondered that too, but I've heard that crane operators make big bucks because literally every time they get in that crane, they're putting their life on the line. I don't know. I don't know how much they make, but that's just what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. I would think it's probably true. It makes sense to me. Anybody know? Tony would know. I wish we could ask him. If he sells them, he must know how much crane operators make, right? I don't know. That's interesting. So where are we at for likes now, guys? We're at 14, huh? All right, we'll watch a little bit more of this, and then we'll probably end it for tonight.
Every missing person deserves that.
And really, Seth, I mean, Seth is, if Seth wants to have somebody speaking for him, he's entitled to that. It's not anybody's call or business. If Seth wanted to have some guy that was a janitor down at the convenience store talking for him, if that's what he wanted, then that should be what it is. And if you care anything about the father or the child, you shouldn't question why they're doing what they're doing. You should let them handle the worst situation in their life the way that they see fit. It's not our cross to bear. It's not our catastrophe. It's his catastrophe, and it's Katie's and Chris's, and it's all this family's catastrophe, and it's Randy and Becky Harris's catastrophe. I mean, the way they choose to grieve, the way they choose to ask people to speak for them. I mean, if you care anything about another human, I mean, let them do what they want to do. I mean, this is not our child. It's just not.
You're right. And so with all of that said, again, we're 2.5 months into this case. Answer this how you want, but coming in this late in the game, what do you feel that you can do effectively with this case coming in, again, 2.5 months in?
Well, right now, what I'm doing is I'm giving Seth some peace of mind. I'm giving him some time to relax and decompress. And this media thing was stressing him to the hilt. So at least with Seth, time will tell what I can do for the whole case. But, wrap your brain around what would happen if we could get everybody working together, keep everybody out of the media unless we had something united and positive to say, and get everybody focused on looking for Sebastian. That would be my end goal. My short-term goal is to help Seth do what he's asked me to do, help him with a lot of this media stuff, bring him on when it makes sense to have him on, and just give him some guidance and, clean things up a little bit, leave the emotion other than the sadness and a little bit of the anger, towards losing his son, not knowing where his son is, bring a little bit of that on, but leave the real emotion, leave the, losing your temper, leave that behind the scenes. And, let's get back to delivering a message that people can get on board with. Some people like the drama. Some people quit following the case because of the drama. I mean, I've got hundreds of messages that said, hey, we quit following the case because we couldn't deal with the drama. Well, when you quit following the case, you're only hurting Sebastian. You're not hurting the parents. You're not hurting me.
That is a perfect point to end this on. So yes, people left the case because of the drama, right? And they were only hurting Sebastian because I really think that before Dog and Nick came on, it was very quickly becoming a cold case. And I honestly think that some people wanted it that way. That's my opinion. Okay. Allegedly, all alleged, nothing is for fact here, right? Except what I wrote here. The average salary for a crane operator in the United States is around $62,240 per year. And that can vary with an average hourly rate of $26.09. Guys, that really isn't that much money. Not for what I think that they do. I don't know. What do you guys think? I expected it to be more like $100,000 per year. That was my thought. So I was surprised. To me, that seems low. Yes, let's bring Sebastian home for Christmas. Like Silver says, say his name, say his name. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, right? But yeah, it doesn't add up. They're putting their lives on the line when they crawl into that crane, if that's what you're talking about. That money doesn't seem like it's right. But yes, so I think that you think that is why. Yeah, that makes sense. If he knew that that's the kind of money that they only make that amount of money, but the way that they're living. And really, you guys, if you think about it, I mean, I'm going to look that up, how much that fifth wheel costs. It's an RV in my opinion, and it's a really nice one. Those are, I'm now watch it not be as much as I think it is. That takes a little bit more than a Google search. So if somebody wants to look that up, the RV that he had, and find out how much that costs and let us know tomorrow night in our live, that'd be awesome. But yeah, he was a special type of crane operator, so he made more about $175,000 a year. Oh, and Katie was responsible for providing all of Sebastian's meals and needs. You know what? That doesn't surprise me. Because as much as Chris likes to say, he's my son, it doesn't matter. Stepson, doesn't matter, he's my son. That to me makes sense. Because I can see where he would say, I'm not providing for him. My daughter has one smaller and it was about 55,000. But he is a heavy equipment and building operator. Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's interesting. Wonder if Katie received an inheritance when her grandfather passed. Why were they so set on, other than having Faith come live with them, why were they so set on getting Sebastian out of the house? I do not understand that at all. I do not understand it. I don't know. Just, it really bothers me so much. You don't ship your child off. You, you know, I just don't get it. I don't get that at all. Not at all. But this must have been one of the first interviews that Tony decided to do on his own. And then after that, it seemed like Seth got more. I wouldn't say he's comfortable, but he went on because he knew people wanted to see his face, I think. And Tony just had no idea that they were never going to work together. I think maybe at some point he realized it, but as of May 5th, he was still thinking that he could get them all to work together. He was going to be the one to get them all three to work together, but we know now that that was never going to happen, So let's go with our grannyism tonight. Tricks and treachery are the practice of fools. They don't have brains enough to be honest. It was said by Benjamin Franklin, guys. Oh, that was kind of interesting. Playing the puppeteer, who does that remind you of? Hiding behind a mask? Who does that remind you of, guys? Tricks and treachery. Are they going to go down? Not being honest? Is it really going to take being arrested, and maybe never, I don't know. You don't think it took Tony long to figure it out? Well, it seems that them and Seth were looking for a special school or home for him, and it was too expensive. So Seth said he was going to give it a try and take him a year earlier, but said he would give him 1 year to straighten up, and I don't understand that. Do we know that that's what Seth said, though? Because I know that that's been put out there. Who was it put out by, though? Did Seth actually say he was giving him a year? If that wait list for the school was shorter, Sebastian would have moved in sooner. Yeah. Well, I remember that. That was the waiting list for the online school, was it not, Ginger? Seth said he was trying to get him enrolled in school first. That's what I thought he said. He didn't, to my knowledge, I don't think Seth ever said, I'm giving you 1 more year to straighten up. I don't think he said that. And if I'm wrong, please give me the receipts, because I don't think Seth ever said that. Oh, she has a clip of Seth saying it. Seth said it was a schooling issue. Well, I don't understand that either, Helen, honestly. That honestly, it breaks my heart, because yes, he did already, but they had a waiting list. He had him enrolled in that school, but they had a waiting list. He had to wait. They couldn't get him in until a certain time. And in my opinion, I think if Seth had known what was going on in that home, so if we could look at it like this, if Chris and Katie are telling Seth that Sebastian's doing this and this and this and this and this, you need to take him, or we're going to put him in a home or whatever, right? And Seth did look into a couple of those homes and he told them right out, no. Right? Yeah, exactly. It wasn't properly explained. That's what I'm thinking. So and I'm just putting this out there, right? So if Chris and Katie are saying he's doing this and this and this, and we can't deal with this. We can't deal with this. He needs to be putting in a home. And then Seth is looking at these homes and he's going, no, and I can't afford that, and blah 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 blah. Let me try to get him in. They're on a waiting list, and it's going to be a year before I can get him in there. Right? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. That's what I'd like to think. Because Seth did not know about the abuse that was causing the behavior issues. Exactly. Seth found one in Texas. Okay. But wasn't that the one that was $10,000 a month? I looked at that one. And they couldn't afford it. Let me know if I'm wrong. I thought the one in Texas was at $10,000. Because I did look at that. But I think the biggest thing is until Seth finally got those CPS reports, he didn't know about the abuse that was causing the behavior issues, right? Because I think if he would have known, he would have said, forget that. Because what a lot of people don't realize is you can homeschool your children. You don't have to have it. It's not, you don't, like online school. Yes, Seth was going to take him at the beginning of the summer. He was. And then he had him enrolled for the school for the following year. Evidently, that wasn't quick enough for Chris and Katie. Right? All of them were too expensive, right? I mean, Seth wasn't going to be able to afford that kind of money. And, Chris wasn't going to pay for it. It's his son, but not when it comes to money, I don't think. So, yeah, I mean, if you think about all that went on, yeah. I really think that, I honestly, you can take a child, you can homeschool them. Okay? My daughter had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. I homeschooled her. I did. You can get curriculum, you can do it yourself. So, and when I wanted to go put her back in school, when I needed to go back to work full time, they tested her and they said, no, we have to put her in a regular class. And I said, no, I did not homeschool her all this time for her to be behind. Well, she's at this level that she's supposed to be at, so we can put her in the level she's supposed to be at. I said, I understand that, but she needs more help than a normal child needs. She doesn't learn the way that they learn. Well, no, we can put her in this class for a year. If she doesn't do well, then she'll qualify for the special ed class after that. I said, no, I did not homeschool my child for her to be behind. She was up to the level she was supposed to be at, and I want her to stay there. Yeah, it was like, so I ended up homeschooling her, continuing to homeschool her. I feel they all failed him after hearing Seth said in California that Sebastian lied to the school and said Seth had whipped him. So at 7, he put him in front of an abusive game to show him what a beating was. It's all sad. Yes, he's yeah, I don't know about all of that, honestly. I yeah, and there are no perfect parents. I guess we'll go with that. There are no perfect parents, right? None. I'm sure, Seth said he's made mistakes, and you know, that's all we can do is own up to it. Um, you know, I'm sure every one of us that have children can see that mistakes that we've made in the past with our children. I know I have, big time. I know. I know I have. Do we wish we could go back and take those back? Absolutely. Unfortunately, now Sebastian is gone, right? So until he gets home, you know, there's nothing that anybody can do. Do you homeschool your grandsons? Gotcha. Mine was, I ordered my own curriculum, which was on par with, you know, the requirements of the government. And yeah, just homeschooled my kids. Yes, exactly. We all fail. We do. Because we're not perfect people. We just aren't. We're not perfect people. And, if anybody says they're perfect, then, like our grannyism, they don't have brains enough to be honest. Because there is not a perfect person. It just isn't. So we're going to leave it with that tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Children don't come with an instruction book. There is a thing called the good enough parent. I learned about it in, oh, a good enough parent. That's interesting. That is really interesting. No, children don't come with an instruction book, do they? They don't. And every child is different. And then throw in disabilities. Oh my gosh, guys. You know, it, you can look at any family and see how awful they can be. I mean, if we really wanted to point things out, we could, you know. But if we're trying to be good people, we're going to look at the best in everybody, right? We're going to try to, unless they give us reason to think otherwise, you know. So, anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming in. I really appreciate it. I love our chats. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I will, just before we go, we will do our Chris the cheerleader party one more time.
I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time. I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time. I have been a supporter and a cheerleader for him this whole time.
All right. So thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. And we will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.